The other day I made a video on Doom the Dark Ages where I responded to a guy who tried to say the game would be bad, and it turns out he made another video talking about Doom. And it turns out that video was just him salty that he got bad reception to his first video, so what I thought we could do is just go ahead and react to that video as well. This whole series of events of somebody making a bad Doom take, then making a whole second video because they get roasted on their bad Doom take, reminds me of Upper Echelon Gamers back in 2020 with Doom Eternal. Back in 2020, Upper Echelon Gamers, now just called Upper Echelon, made a video on Doom Eternal reviewing the game. In the video, not only did he play like shit, but he also gave a shit review of Doom Eternal where he cried about things like the chainsaw kills. It was a terrible video.
Because your ammo recharge is tied directly to chainsaw kills, and for some reason ammo pickups on the ground, especially in heavy combat rooms, are less than plentiful, you will need to be conserving chainsaw fuel for the right moments. However, because of how annoyingly long some of these fights are—
Can you shut the fuck up?
You know, it's not like ammo management was a mechanic intentionally put into the game that you have to learn or anything. After Upper Echelon got roasted for this video, he put out an entirely second video where he claimed that gaming criticism was necessary and that his review was like changing lives and shit. This video is very reminiscent of that video. The guy's just butthurt that he had a bad take. Like, believe it or not, dude, it's not the end of the world. You had a bad take on Doom. It doesn't make you like the German mustache man or anything, and your YouTube career is not over. But making salty-ass videos like the one you made here is definitely not going to help you. In fact, it makes you look like a lol cow. But let's just go ahead and hear what he has to say. Take a shot every time you hear something stupid.
Doom! You shouldn't be a fan of it.
Well guys, after years of being a Doom fan, I guess it's time to just hang it up because this random YouTuber with like 600 subs says so. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. If you didn't, you can leave a dislike, and yeah, peace. One day I'll actually end a video like that, I swear to God.
And I'm arguing that, but I'm doing it as a part of something larger. I'm arguing that you shouldn't be a fan of anything. Because when people become fans, it has a tendency to turn them into crazy people.
Ah yes, people who are fans of Doom are just crazy people. I mean, how could you be enthusiastic about something and enjoy something? I find it funny that you're calling other people crazy when you made an entire YouTube video crying about the most minute shit in the world. Bro, you are crying about a difficulty slider creating unbalanced situations, even though you don't even have to use the difficulty slider. But hey man, people who tune in to every single installment of Doom and really enjoy the series, they're the crazy ones.
Now, this is something I've tried to get across before, this whole don't be a fanatic thing. The last time was because of the frankly insane response I got when I chose to give a negative review to an episode of Doctor Who. I got people making threats in the comment section to a Doctor Who review.
I mean, the fact that you're surprised by that tells me you haven't been on the internet very long. There are crazy motherfuckers out there that are way too attached to video games, way too attached to movies, way too attached to whatever. I mean, I had someone join my Discord with like 6 different accounts post gore and corn because I said The Last of Us was boring, which it is boring. Cope.
And I feel the need to do it again because of the avalanche of strange responses that I got to a recent video of mine in my comments section.
99.9% of people responding to you in your comment section were absolutely reasonable. Were some of them a bit rude about what they were saying? Yes. But did they ultimately have a point? Also, yes.
This was a video covering an upcoming game in the Doom franchise called Doom the Dark Ages. I was initially looking forward to this game after a trailer came out last year that was really quite good, but in this new video from them I saw a lot of worrying signs, things that to me significantly increase the chance that Doom the Dark Ages, coming out supposedly on May the 15th 2025, may turn out to not be very good. So I made a video trying to warn people, telling them to maybe think twice if they were thinking of pre-ordering this game, and it was maybe a good idea to wait until release to see if id managed to pull this one off, Or is it going to be a disaster before you put your money down?
Yeah, and the video was just a bunch of pointless fear-mongering about things that don't matter. The only point that you had that I somewhat agreed with was the spec requirements. They did seem a little bit high, especially for a Doom game, but then again, it's worth noting that the spec requirements for Doom Eternal when they were first revealed were like a 2060, but then it dropped to like a 10 something. Specs often drop for the requirements and recommendations by the time a game actually comes out, as opposed to when it's first revealed.
So why did this video from id worry me in the first place?
Because you're paranoid.
Well, one area of concern was this section with the difficulty sliders, because this is not something Doom has done before, and in my mind, for very good reasons.
I mean, like, serious question though, what would the harm be if they went back and added this to like Doom 2016, Eternal, Doom 3, and Doom 1 and 2? You don't have to use it, dude.
Because they have 8 sets of sliders visible here, each with multiple positions to control things like enemy AI difficulty, projectile speed, enemy damage, and one of my problems with that is, to my mind, it's going to make the game a lot harder to bug fix.
That literally makes no sense at all. Let's watch his explanation.
I have some experience with programming, albeit probably very limited I'd imagine, compared to the people working at id, but it's been my experience that the more linear a game is, the easier it is to bug fix. Therefore, if you want a bug-free game, this is a lot easier than this. In terms of difficulty in programming and difficulty in bug fixing, linear is easier than branching.
The game is going to be just as linear. It's not like they're changing things so you can skip entire segments of the game or jump over certain areas or anything like that. It's literally just like the speed of the projectiles, the damage, the parry windows, stuff like that.
I asked Microsoft's AI because I was curious whether this was just my limited experience of game making or whether this was generally true, and it told me this. Programming a linear game tends to be easier than a branching game. Here's why. Linear games have a simpler structure. They follow a straightforward predefined path without variations. This simplicity makes it easier to manage the game's progression. Fewer outcomes. There are fewer possible outcomes or endings, which means less scripting and fewer assets to create.
What different outcomes are going to be created by altering the difficulty? It's either you die, or you don't die. What bugs are going to be created by the game speed being faster, or projectiles doing more damage, or parries being easier to pull off? What the fuck are you talking about, dude? Now, if it were something like changing the gravity or something like that, or the jump height, I could understand making this argument because maybe you jump out of the map and not be able to get back in. But even in a case like that, if you change the gravity and end up jumping out of the map and not being able to jump back in, that's your own fault.
Easier testing. With only one main path, testing for bugs and errors is more straightforward and manageable, whereas for branching games, there's a complex structure. They offer multiple paths and outcomes requiring more intricate planning and organisation. There are more outcomes. Each choice can lead to different scenarios, dialogues and endings.
Bro, this guy's talking about the game like it's a fucking RPG or something. Okay, you turn up the game speed. What are the different outcomes? You die because you can't react quick enough. Boo-hoo. You change the parry window. It's easier for you to parry. You change the amount of damage you do to demons. The demons die quicker, or they die slower. This guy has no idea what he's talking about, and I honestly believe this guy has no experience coding whatsoever.
Now, it's not quite as bad as those sliders make it look at first, because some of the coding will probably not be too challenging. It can be done in a few lines, and I could maybe even do it. Probably a lot slower and worse than their programmers, which is a good job, because if each of the 8 sliders have 10 positions, that's a frankly huge amount of possible combinations, and the poor programmers at id are going to have to bug fix all of them. And by a huge number, I mean it will be 10 to the power of 8 combinations if there are 10 positions per slider, not 8 to the power of 10 like I think I said in the last video. I got confused, but that would be 100 million combinations. That would be 100 million possibilities from the sliders alone. For the difficulty levels for Doom 2016 there were 5. Do you understand why I consider this to be a red flag, and something that I'm sure the very talented programmers at id could have trouble with?
I don't even know how to explain this at this point. All I'm gonna say is this. There's a game out there called Ultra Kill. It has a slider just like the slider in Doom the Dark Ages. And guess how many bugs I've discovered using this slider on Ultra Kill? Absolutely 0. And this game was made by like a little indie dev. Doom the Dark Ages is made by id Software. You're fear-mongering, dude. It's pathetic. And let's just use the stupid logic and say that changing some of these settings might break something. There's a very easy solution to that. Just don't use that setting.
I don't think this idea even came from Marty Stratton, the boss at id. I don't think this came from Bethesda either, or even ZeniMax. My money would be in this coming all the way down from Microsoft, because this is Microsoft's statement on accessibility. Our commitment. We are committed to create and grow usage of accessible technology, expand skilling and hiring opportunities for people with disabilities, and advocate for policies that advance accessibility as a fundamental right. That would be my guess on the culprits of why the projectiles in this trailer can be made to move so slowly that they're at the speed of a tectonic plate.
I mean, possibly. I'm not gonna sit here and say that that isn't a possibility because I'd be lying. However, does this really make the game more accessible instead of just making it easier? Now, he continues to waffle on about how programming is gonna be harder, blah blah blah, so we're just gonna go ahead and skip past that because he doesn't make any actual points, and we'll just get to the next big point he wants to harp on.
And there were more things in their video that worried me. When they said it was going to be more open world and sandbox than previous entries in the series. Oh great, just add a ton more branches to the Doom tree. And they could also come unstuck on the contextual button presses. That's where one button will do different things depending on the contextual situation.
Why are you so afraid of the world being more open? Is it bad because it's different? Like, that's the most boomer logic in the world. How dare id Software want to do something different than the 600 subscriber YouTube channel wants? Guarantee if they made things the same, this guy would be complaining that they didn't try anything different. You just can't win with these types of people, man. They just want to complain. Now, I didn't touch on this on the first video I made responding to you, but you complain about DSP. It's funny that you do that because you use this exact same logic that he was using to complain about Doom the Dark Ages in the first place. It's bad because it's different. Anyway, that's gonna wrap up today's video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like. If you didn't, you can leave a dislike and an angry comment. And yeah, Doom bad, guys. Peace.